Welcome. Today, my name is Ken Larimore. I am with the University of Illinois Extension and an educator in community and economic development. Thank you all for taking the time to participate in this webinar, offered through the University of Illinois Extension's Local Government Education, LGE, program. Today's webinar will be recorded and made available on our local government education website and the YouTube channel. To ensure the best quality in our recording, microphones will be muted during the presentation. We do encourage you to add questions or issues in the chat space. The speaker will respond to questions as time allows. As I mentioned, if you can't connect with Skype, then for Plan B, you can dial in from any cell or landline. So without further ado, today's webinar is on international trade. And we are very excited to have Kathy Cravens as our speaker. And every time I mention Kathy to people around the state, they just can't say enough good things about her. She's just very informed and knowledgeable on international trade. So we are very grateful to have Kathy and her expertise available today. Kathy Cravens is International Trade Specialist at the Illinois Small Business Development Center in Champaign. Kathy is CGBP and MIEX, and a seasoned international trade specialist with years of exporting experience. Has traveled and lived abroad, worked closely with numerous international dealers and distributors, and has attended several international trade shows. She's advised small to medium-sized companies on their export practices and has been directly involved with exporting numerous shipments of U.S. manufactured goods to every continent around the world. She provides in-depth advice on international trade techniques, export processes, and international market opportunities to local companies. In addition, she provides research support for new markets and products and referral assistance for export-related activities, licensing, certification, legal and financial consultation, logistics, and customs issues. Kathy was owner of Brit Am International, an export management company, advising small to medium-sized companies on the expertise of exporting. Before accepting her new position as International Trade Specialist at the Champaign Center, she was employed at the GSI Group as an International Logistics Specialist, exporting product from Taylorville and Assumption to every continent of the world. So I'm excited to hear Kathy speak today. And without further ado, I'd like to turn the program over to Kathy. Welcome, Kathy.
Ken, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. I guess I'm going to start with that CGBP MIEX because a lot of people say, okay, those letters must mean something, but what is it? The CGBP designates a certified global business professional. That's through our NASBITE organization here in the States, and NASBITE stands for National Association of Small Business International Trade Educators. And I often laugh and say, if you know what that acronym means, I think you deserve to be one. And the MIEX is a designation of the diploma and my membership with the British Institute of Export. When I lived in England, I took full advantage of the educational system that they had there for export specialists. So I guess what those two letters mean is I have dual certification as an export expert in 2 countries. So I think what that really means is I've just been doing this for a very long time. So, and I'm not going to tell you how many years. First of all, I want to tell you a little bit about the Illinois SBDC. Here in Champaign, we are fully funded by the SBA on the federal level, the Small Business Administration, the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity on the state level, the Champaign County Economic Development Corporation, which is where we are housed here in Champaign, and the Decatur and Macon County EDC and the Midwest Inland Port. So we have the benefit of funding from all of those partners that allow us to offer this wonderful service free of charge to our Illinois companies. And it is a pleasure for me to be able to share my years of training and experience with other companies and then watch them grow. Nancy, if we could go to the next slide. I want to show you the resources that we have. There are 7 international trade centers with SBDCs all around the state of Illinois. I have a map that we will go to on the next slide, and I'll show you where the 7 are located. And the international trade specialists in those centers are down in the trenches, on the ground, face-to-face with our companies. So we know them, we know every detail of their export, their international trade plans, all that they're doing in the international market. And the more we know about what they're doing, the more we know what resources we have available to help them. And again, everything we know about our clients is strictly confidential. Even the name of the clients that we work with is not told to anyone unless we have their permission to promote their business. On the state level, we have the Illinois Department of Commerce, the Overseas Trade and Investment Office in Chicago. You may have heard of OTI. And the OTI is over the STEP program, which we'll talk about that in a moment, and we have 7 Illinois foreign offices. They're all administered by the director of the OTI office in Chicago. And on the federal level, under the Department of Commerce, we have the U.S. Export Assistance Center. And for Middle Central Illinois, our contact person is in Peoria at Bradley University with the U.S. Export Assistance Center. And we have foreign trade specialists in over 80 countries around the world, and they're housed at the American embassies. So we have a network of international trade specialists that from the ground all the way up to countries in 80 countries around the world, we have expert assistance. Here's the map of Illinois. I particularly like this one because it's divided into regions. And we have the 7 locations there's 3 up in Chicagoland area. The most northern part is in Lake County at the College of Lake County in Grays Lake at the SBDC there. We have one in DuPage County, one at the Industrial Council of Near West Chicago, and we have a new International Trade Center in the process of being opened in South Chicago. And then south of I-80, of course, we're here in Champaign. We have 3 international trade specialists at Bradley University at the International Trade Center. And then down at SIU Edwardsville, we have the other International Trade Center. Now, we have a great team of specialists, and we cover the state. It's a big area to cover, and I really need your help, and I'm going to reach out and ask for your help. If you know any small, medium-sized manufacturing companies with less than 500 employees that has a marketable product in the international market, refer them to our international trade specialists so that we can see if we have resources to help them. Our biggest challenge is finding the companies that can use us or could use the services, and then finding the decision maker within that company so we could really sit down and put together a plan with them. Nancy, next slide. Okay, on the state level, our office, or our Office of Trade and Investment, I'm sorry, I need to correct my slide. We have what we call the ISTEP program. It's the Illinois State Trade Export Promotion Program. These are funds provided by the SBA, and it's an opportunity for companies to travel to an international trade show and get up to 50% reimbursement for their airfare, their lodging, and their trade show booth. And it's a great opportunity. I have a lot of companies that take advantage of this. It's a great program. And I have companies that in the past, before they knew about this, they would budget for one international trade show a year. And because they get 50% reimbursement, they're now able to plan 2 foreign trade shows a year. And I really see their export sales increasing because of their exposure in the international market. We can also use that program for foreign trade missions, the trade shows, product certification for foreign markets, or website localization. And what we mean by that is taking part of their website, translating it into a foreign language for a certain market area that they're wanting to enter into. Next slide. This is the 7 countries where we have Illinois foreign offices and actually staffed with Illinois employees. They have a dual duty. 50% of their time is to help the international trade specialist, help our companies find foreign customers, distributors, dealers. They can give us a little bit of market feedback, some market research. They help when our companies go to their country for a foreign trade show or a mission. They can provide translators. They're just a tremendous help in the region for us on many different levels. And our offices are one in Belgium for the European coverage. We got one in Toronto, Canada, Hong Kong, Shanghai, Jerusalem, Tokyo, and Mexico City. Next slide. On the federal level, we have the U.S. Export Assistance Center. It's the Gold Key program. Now, there is a fee for this program because it's conducted by one of the trade specialists at an American embassy in a foreign country. And in order for them to do the research, or they may be vetting a potential customer, sometimes they have to pay for some of the information that they provide, so therefore there is a minimal fee to clients for the Gold Key program. But it's also a good program to use if a company is planning to attend a foreign trade show. They may want some meetings set up prior to their arrival in that country with a potential customer. The Small Business Administration offers export loan programs. Sorry, I just advanced my slide. And also the Export-Import Bank. It offers export loans on a higher level and also credit insurance to protect our clients that are offering open payment terms to their foreign customers. Next slide. Necessary elements to be successful in exporting. First of all, they have to have a marketable product. Goes without saying. But secondly, and just as important in my opinion, is that management commitment. There's a lot of extra things that need to be done when a company decides to export. They may have to adapt their product to foreign specifications. They need the capability to meet increased demands. And those are all of the things that we look at when we do an export readiness assessment with a company. Next slide. Why should Illinois companies export? Next. Selling globally is easier than it's ever been before. I mean, I started out back in the day with an old telex machine, and then we went to a fax machine, and we thought that was the greatest thing ever invented. And look what we have today with the internet and email and all the improved communications. We have better educated and savvy markets, better transportation. We have the expertise of freight forwarders, free trade agreements, more banks with dedicated international departments, and network of international trade specialists. It also helps increase sales and competitiveness. I see companies that once they start selling internationally and their presence is at an international trade show, their domestic competitors are seeing what they're doing, and it increases their credibility in the States. Our main goal is to sustain and create new jobs through exports and increase sales. Utilize the full capacity of manufacturing facilities. Us being here in the heart of the agricultural industry, that business and industry is very seasonal. So if you're exporting to the other side of the world, it can keep factories in full production year-round, and that's a huge benefit. And extend the life cycle of products. Not all countries need the latest technology. So if there's some obsolete products that are still in inventory, looking at some export markets may be a good opportunity to move some of that inventory. Next slide. U.S. goods and services are the gold standard of innovation, quality, and safety abroad. Our products are in great demand. Foreign demand is growing 4 to 10% each year. 95% of the world consumers live outside the United States. When I saw that statistic and I thought about it, I thought, of course, but I don't think we ever think of it that way. In 2010, small, medium-sized businesses accounted for 34% of the overall value of U.S. exports. You know, we think of the giants like Caterpillar and ADM and Monsanto and all of those big companies exporting, but small businesses can export as well. And even at that, less than 1% of small, medium-sized businesses export. And why is that? Well, maybe they don't have an exportable product or service, or maybe they don't have that top management commitment that I said is equally important. Or maybe, next slide, Nancy, or maybe exporting is just too scary. Companies don't know how to get started. They don't know who to sell to, how to get it there, or how to get paid. And that's where the help and the expertise and the resources of the international trade specialist come into play. And we can take companies new to exporters by the hand and lead them every step of the way. Be involved in what they're doing as much or as little as they want to use us. Whenever I meet with a new client, I always tell them to think of me as an extension of their staff. They have an export expert here and an international logistics specialist with years of experience that can help them avoid the pitfalls of exporting. And the best part is they don't have to pay me. And I always like that line because I get a smile every time. Next slide. Okay, let's get started. What do we offer? What does the International Trade Centers offer? One-on-one consulting with an international trade specialist, the confidential no-charge service, site visits and a tour of a factory. When I first meet a company, I want to go to their facility. I want to meet all of the players in their company that are involved in the international business. I want to take a tour of their factory. That tells me a lot about a company. I can see how their product, I can learn more about their product as they're walking through their factories. I see how they're packaging it. I see how they inventory it. I see how they separate the inventory from their domestic vendors versus any imported raw materials that they have, which is very important when we get involved with free trade agreements. I see how they package their product, how they load their trucks. I just learn a lot about a company. And again, the more I know about a company, their product, and what they're doing, the more I can help them. We offer assistance in putting together an export plan, the step-by-step consultation, utilization of the ISTEP program, and we offer training workshops and events. Here in Champaign, I offer at least a minimum of 8 export training events a year. Some of them are a 2-hour lunch and learn. At least once a year, I have a full-day seminar that really gets into detail on various topics. Next slide. Who do we sell to? How do we find those foreign customers? Well, we offer foreign market research, finding the top countries to market a particular product, select which products for foreign markets. If a company has a lot of products, we highly recommend that they choose maybe 2 or 3 products that are very successful in the American market to start with. They can always add more products later, but you don't want to start out offering the entire product line if you have multiple products. Determine the market entry mode. What we mean is, will they sell directly to the end user? Will they work through dealers? Will they work through distributors who will then work through dealers? Will they sell to a domestic customer that exports? There's a lot of different options on entry mode, and we sit down and we talk together on which is going to be the best one for the company and what they want to achieve. Again, the foreign trade shows, a customer search through the international trade centers, our 10 Illinois foreign offices, and the Gold Key program. And companies are also selling through their website. They're marketing internationally if they have a website, whether they want to or not. They're already marketing internationally. Next slide. How do we get it there? We determine the best method of shipment depending on the size of the order and what the order is, whether it's going to go by truck, rail, air, ocean. In ocean freight, if it's going to be loaded in an export container, we have the Midwest Inland Port right in the heart of central Illinois, located in Decatur. We'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. Reputable freight forwarders that are a tremendous help, and I provide a library of service providers to help companies. And then again, export training. We have taught on such topics as international logistics, export documentation, export compliance, free trade agreements, and any topics that are needed for my clientele base. Next slide. How do we get paid? Training on international payment methods. There's 4 different payment methods to consider. 2 important partners to establish a good rapport with is a reliable freight forwarder and your international banker. And if it's a letter of credit shipment, those 2 partners are crucial. Know your customers and have them vetted. It's the same as the domestic market. No one would give open payment terms to a domestic customer if they didn't check out their credit references and see what their credit score is. Not much different in the international market. And insure their foreign receivables through the Ex-Im Bank. Next slide. I'm probably preaching to the choir on this one, but with our interstate system and our international airports in St. Louis and Chicago, and the Midwest Inland Port right in the middle of Decatur, Illinois is strategically situated for economic development for national and international distribution. Next slide. This was, I got this slide from the Midwest Inland Port, but this is interesting because it shows if you go out a radius of 250 miles from Decatur, that takes in Chicago, St. Louis, and all of the surrounding areas. And you take that out another 500 miles, and that includes even a bigger range. And that radius is not unreasonable to truck containers into the Decatur rail to save with inland freight and time and to avoid the stresses of the Chicago ramp. Next slide. Nancy, is your next slide of showing an export container being lifted?
It says people helping people.
Okay, yeah, because I thought I had another slide in here. I do apologize. Okay, people helping people. Okay, again, like I said, companies our clients are confidential, but I did have permission to share this slide. it's often that I meet a company that has exactly what another company that I have just met needs. And we sometimes connect people together to help each other. And that's really awesome when that comes together. That is fun. This is a picture of Bruce Kluever on the left in the red shirt. Bruce is the owner of Ag World Incorporated in Bloomington, winner of the President's E Award for their excellence and their contribution to exporting. Bruce has been exporting livestock all around the world for many years. And at one time, I was the sales director for Ag World Exports, and so I know him well. And then in the middle is Marisa Sierra and Josh on the right. They are a startup company from the University of Illinois. They invented a geared wheelchair wheel that works on the same principle as like a 10-speed bicycle from the engineering department. And then they commercialized that and started a startup business called IntelliWheels at Enterprise Works at the Research Park. And Bruce and I spent the afternoon with these two young entrepreneurs sharing some of our experiences with exporting and hearing a little bit about where they're at and where they wanted to go. And we were a great resource for the two of them. Next slide. Every June, our office charters a bus, and anyone who wants to go take a tour in Decatur of the Midwest Inland Port is more than welcome. It's free of charge. Lunch is provided. And we take a group over because people hear about this Midwest Inland Port but don't really understand what it is. So I said, let's hop on the bus and let's go over together and let's go see it. And we hear about all that they're doing through a presentation, but then we all get on the bus and we actually go out on the ramp and we see the containers being loaded. So our next tour is going to be June 13th. So if anybody is interested in joining us, whether you come to Champaign to our office and ride the bus over, or you meet us there, that's an option too, depending on what geographical area you're coming in from. And Ken, I believe that you attended that 1 year with us. Do you have anything to add to the tour?
Yes, I thought it was fascinating. And to relate it to your number one, what is a marketable product? When we toured, I mean, they were loading up big containers with high volume products and liquids, and they acted like they can take about anything, and it doesn't have to be small, easy to move products as much as just getting it to the inland port. And I thought it was fascinating.
The advantage of loading containers in Decatur, I mean, there's a lot of things to take a look at. It's price, it's routing, it's a lot of things, a lot of factors. But as an option to have this benefit right in the heart of Central Illinois is a tremendous benefit. When I was shipping letter of credit shipments from Assumption, we had deadlines that we had to meet, and it's, you know, getting a container in-gated at the rail is very similar to going to the airport and getting on a plane. If you don't get there on time and they close the door, you've just missed your flight. And it's the same with in-gating containers onto a rail. They have a deadline to meet a specific ship at a specific ocean port. And if the container does not get on that rail car, it misses the ship. And if you have a letter of credit that doesn't allow partial shipments, you now have a serious problem, because if you had 39 containers loaded on that vessel and one didn't meet the deadline, your foreign partner or your foreign customer could have the option not to pay you for the entire shipment. Now, that rarely happens because hopefully you're going to have a good working relationship with your customer, but a lot depends on, you know, the timing and the coordination and the logistics of how it all works. So having that benefit so that trucks aren't dealing with I-55 and possibly an accident and trying to get into in-gate at Joliet is it's a great benefit. Next slide. Here's the container I was talking about. Okay, this was taken out at the Midwest Inland Port, and Maersk Lines is a big ocean cargo ship or ocean liner, and this is how they pick up the containers off of the truck and load them onto the rail car. Here, next slide. This is an aerial view of the rail ramp indicator. Next slide. This is some pictures of some of the training that we've offered here in our training center. This is John Allen. He's an expert on foreign product certification, and he's located in a suburb of West Chicago. And we encourage our companies, if they do need product certification, to use one of the labs that we have here in Illinois, and I have a list of them. Next slide. This is Margot Mercopoulos. She is the director of the Office of Trade and Investment in Chicago that administers the ISTEP program. And one of the benefits of using the ISTEP program is to offset the cost of foreign product certification, which, depending on the product, could be anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000. So it's a big investment, and we do have a grant that does help offset that cost somewhat. Next slide. This was training that we offered, and we usually do this once a year on export compliance, which is, it's very important that our exporters understand what their due diligence is as a U.S. exporter so that they're in compliance with U.S. law. Next slide. So in closing, I just want to share a little bit. I guess I'm going to brag a little bit here. Since we opened the International Trade Center here in Champaign in September of 2013, bear in mind, at that time we had 0 clients. So this has all been built from nothing. But in summary, at the end of December of 2017, we had over 54 million in export sales reported back to us from our clients, and that came from 78 clients. Actually, all 78 didn't report sales, but and I helped get 19 ISTEP grants approved and reimbursed, totaling nearly $80,000 in foreign travel reimbursement. So, you know, it's just a pleasure to be able to offer this kind of benefit to our companies. It's not free, it's our tax dollars at good use, and that's why I'm thrilled to be able to be part of this program. We offer one-on-one counseling, export training, grants to attend foreign trade shows, financial resources through SBA and Exim Bank, foreign market research, and these metrics came from all of that, but a lot of effort and commitment from the companies. Next slide. Anyone have any questions?
Hello, I do. LaShawn Perry, Chicago, Illinois. A question, just not just the exporting side, but the imports as well too, because I know, like in Chicago, our demographics is somewhat changing. How can you, or do you counsel for like to import some of the things that our new neighbors are doing, like from India and China and other places in Europe abroad, to import things that are relevant to them and their culture that they can get locally?
Good question. Basically, our grant money that funds our services is to help Illinois companies grow through exports. So we are encouraging sales into the international market. But you're absolutely right. I mean, a lot of manufacturing companies are importing products as part of their supply chain. So it does go hand in hand. I have imported a lot of products throughout my career as well, so I am very familiar with that, and I will help companies on a limited basis. But if it's a company, a startup company that's wanting to import products solely and then sell them into the American market, we stay away from that because that's not helping our Illinois companies grow. So, my main focus is with manufacturing companies, that products that are made here in Illinois.
Yes, I definitely agree about that as well too. And my question is your contact information going to be on the slide? Because I'm thinking the imports right now as a gateway for both interactions for both directions. Because we know we got to think globally, Asian markets, AESEN, Asia Pacific, Dubai, and all those places too. But I thought about starting now as a small business from like importing to make that relationship, create that relationship abroad as well too.
Yes, my information is on the slide.
Okay, thank you so very much. I appreciate you.
And we have another question. If you can't see the chat box, please share what export readiness means. Is there a checklist?
Yes, I wish I had that right in front of me, but basically it's, we would look at the company's financial status to make sure that they're, financially they're sound enough to expand their production to meet the demand of additional sales. We would look at their product, we would look at their staff, we would look to see if there are any modifications or specification changes that would have to be made to their product, and if they were willing to do that and what those additional costs would be. And if they are willing to take some of their domestic employees and dedicate part of their time to coming to training and learning export documentation and doing all that it takes to develop the export side of the business.
Kathy,
yes.
I take it you can't see the chat.
No, I can't. I'm sorry. We were having technical difficulties earlier. That's why Nancy was advancing my slides for me.
I thought so. I'll read one off, a question in the chat. Some are curious. With the Midland port at Decatur, our soybean capital of the world, and 25% of soy production in Illinois going to China, and with the president's recent tariff hike on China, is it okay to use a middleman entity to export to, perhaps in a different country, or who may export to China?
I'm not clear on the question. Are they asking, would Illinois be allowed to export it to another country who in turn would export it onto China? Was that the question?
Yes.
I think that question would be above my pay grade, and I think that would be a question for our federal government. I'm not sure. I do remember, those of you that remember back in the day when there was an embargo on selling corn to Russia and grain to Russia. I think that was during President Carter's administration. And what technically happened is that America was exporting our grain to Brazil. Brazil was turning around and selling our grain to Russia. So is it done? It was done then. And, if anyone was around during the PIC program, when farmers were paid for an entire year not to plant because there was an embargo, it basically did a tremendous amount of damage to the agricultural industry in our country. So, I'm probably in the same category with the rest of you. We're just going to have to sit and wait and see what's going to happen here. Unfortunately, Washington, D.C. doesn't answer or doesn't listen to my opinion, so we'll just have to wait.
Thank you for sharing that.
Are there any other questions?
Yes. Could you expand on the number one marketable product? Some of us are just in community and economic development and not manufacturers. So if we're trying to get this information to the manufacturer that can use it the most, should we avoid certain products like medicine or certain high-tech products that are not allowed to be exported? Or how can we kind of narrow down what is a marketable product?
Oh, I think all products that are successful in the American market and that are needed in the American market would have a market need in foreign countries. Most definitely. I mean, some of the trade missions that we have, it's aeronautics, it's medicine, it's communications. Every industry pretty much is covered. So there isn't any one particular marketable product. I mean, if you take a look at all that is sold in America, there could be potential for any one of those products in the international market.
Okay, great. And we have another chat posting. We have a small business in which we create or purchase products, then add value to them with printing or laser engraving. We ship international orders using the USPS, but recently had a domestic customer who purchased 30 engraved products and wanted them shipped to Hong Kong. We shipped UPS, but there were a lot of hoops to jump through which we did not know we would face. What do we need to do to simplify the process in the future?
Can you tell me where that company is located in Illinois?
No, I can't identify I don't know.
Okay, that's fine. I would refer them to one of the international trade specialists in the location. That's why I was going to refer them to someone. If they want to reach out to me directly, I will be glad. I cover a 20-county region in central and east central Illinois, and if they're located in my region, I'll be glad to help them, but I would refer them to one of the other international trade specialists closest to them, and they most definitely could help them with that issue.
Okay, great. And they did post, they are in Salem, Illinois. So
oh, okay. They are in my territory then. Either mine or Sylvia's at SIU Edwardsville. Okay. If they can have my email address, please tell them to contact me, and I will help them.
Good. Excellent. Making some progress here. Another question for some that really want to get involved and do this and research it more and can't quite pull together the funding or whatever to go to a foreign trade show. Are there programs in Chicago with the foreign embassies that would be a more reasonable contact base up there, or
to find foreign customers? Is
Yes.
that the question? A resource to find foreign customers?
Yes.
Again, I would. You know, we have 3 international trade centers around Chicagoland. Get together with one of the international trade specialists and discuss that with them.
Okay.
The foreign consulates in Chicago, I am familiar with most of them. Mainly their function and their presence in the United States is to help bring products from their countries into the United States. So they're not, unless it's something specific like, you know, let's take South Africa. They're needing a lot of infrastructure products, so construction and just a lot of infrastructure. They're looking for suppliers to help build up their country, but their main function is to have products from their country sold into the United States. So the foreign consulates aren't a good resource to help find foreign customers for our products.
Okay, very good. And to find out more about your programs, your annual programs there, I guess most of them are in Champaign, just go to your website.
Yes, they're always posted. It's CU, which stands for Champaign-Urbana, SBDC.org. And you can get a lot more information on the services that our Small Business Development Center here offers and all of the events that we have scheduled. I want to mention May 3rd is, we're dedicating May 3rd as International Trade Day here in Champaign, and we're going to be having guests come in to talk about the resources available to Illinois companies in a workshop from 3 to 5 in the afternoon. And then from 5:30 to 7:30, we're having an international trade social event at Sip Yard, which is a beer garden in downtown Urbana, and it's made out of export shipping containers. So that's pretty cool. And that would be a good opportunity to come and network with other companies. Oh, something else I want to mention too, April 26th, this is in partnership with the Illinois Foreign Office in Jerusalem. The director from that office will be in Champaign that day, and from 8 until noon at Enterprise Works at the University Research Park, we are going to be video conferencing a conference with a team of businesses in Jerusalem that it's going to be an event where we just wanted to see what opportunities there are between our two countries. Part of it is going to be for foreign direct investment opportunities here in Illinois. We're looking for companies that can do business with one another. The technology, sharing of technology. So we're looking, attendees that we're inviting are economic development, realtors, venture capitalists, exporters, and anyone that's interested in developing international trade with Israel. That event is going to be free of charge, but we do need reservations. So if anybody's interested in attending that, please let me know. Is everyone going to get my contact information?
Yes, I'll include it in the email with the link to the recording and the slides.
Okay, Nancy, you could also include the Innovation Celebration video if you would like.
I'll do that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any more questions, Ken?
I don't see any more questions. This has been great. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to looking at your future programs. I mentioned going to Decatur. Just riding on the bus with a bunch of people interested in the topic was very worthwhile. I ended up with a big stack of business cards from manufacturers and all wanting to work together. So just attending the events is also worthwhile. This has been great, Kathy. I don't see any other questions. So I think Nancy will polish up the recording and get it posted. And you can find all the recordings at the U of I Extension's local government website, and with a variety of topics. And Nancy's sharing a poll, and maybe she'll explain that. Thank you again, Kathy.
Well, thank you for having me. I enjoyed it. And please reach out to me if anyone has any questions moving forward.
Thank you.